Subscribe now. EU Debates.
I'd like to remind us all of the previous case where we had this disinformation campaign ongoing. It was on the Sputnik vaccine. Remember how many times we discussed here how we were on the back foot compared to Russia that was going to deliver Sputnik vaccines to all of the countries in need across the world and was signing all these agreements for massive production of Sputnik vaccines across the world. The reality was that nobody in Russia wants to use the Sputnik vaccine, and none of this, or very, very little of this, actually ever materialized in any of the countries concerned. So the first thing I would say is that I'm absolutely convinced that our partners across the globe will not have forgotten that lesson. Now, for the rest, as to what we are doing, I pass the floor to Peter. Thank you.
Once again, there is one concern related to activities of Mr. Lavrov, and that's the concern the illegal Russian aggression against Ukraine has globally on countries and vulnerable populations which have nothing to do with any issue between Russia and Ukraine. The partners in Africa, in Asia, anywhere else in the world, they know it because it's affecting them. We have our own engagement with the partners. We don't need to go on one highly promoted visit as Mr. Lavrov is doing, but we have regular engagement. Africa is one of our priority partners. One of the first trips abroad by the Commission was actually to Africa. Commissioner Urpilainen was in Africa recently. High Representative is having contacts with his counterparts regularly, be it over the phone, in person, in various international multilateral fora. So there is a lot of engagement. Let's not forget, we are present on the ground in Africa, not only through our delegations, so it's not only diplomatic presence, but by our money. We are one of the biggest donors. We are one of the biggest investors in African countries. We provide a lot of humanitarian assistance to Africa. This cannot be compared with anything what Russia can offer or what Russia is doing instead of sowing instability, both through the negative consequences of the aggression against Ukraine on the food and energy prices, which are affecting actually mostly the populations in the African countries. And secondly, through so it's the investment, it's what we are providing on development aid, humanitarian aid, and on the other hand you have Russia sowing the instability and also sowing instability in terms of malicious activities by the so-called Wagner Group in a number of African countries where they are destabilizing those countries. So it's both security, economy, financial situation which Russia is destabilizing in these countries, and these countries are aware of this. Of course, they are following their own interests and their agendas with third countries when it comes to bilateral partnerships, but they are aware, and in addition to it, they are aware also of the credibility a Russian promise nowadays holds. Whatever is promised today can be broken tomorrow. We've seen it with the UN Charter, we've seen it with international agreements, we've seen it with own obligations that Russia took upon itself, and it's violating repeatedly.